So there's a lot of news going on in the last 48 hours in terms of DC and Marvel and even Star Wars. And Frank here is he's gotten his tinfoil hat on. He's in a dark room. He's speculating. He's got strings on boards tying to one another. Straight up like Illuminati.
Dude, I'm sorry. This chronological, the circumstances of these chronological events is just.
It has to be aliens.
It's perplexing.
It's ancient aliens.
It's definitely ancient aliens. but it's so perplexing because, like, how does Kevin Feige take over as publisher of Marvel, and then Doomsday Clock happens, and then Dan Didio leaves, and then Bob Iger fucking quits his or steps down as CEO today? Like, how? Like, this is almost like a perfect recipe for like a drama about, corporate like craziness. Like, it almost is.
Illuminati wanted to shake things up.
Yeah, there's dark things that play here.
Do you guys think there's an Illuminati in the world of fandom? Because there is a.
I think so.
Oh my goodness! Oh, you did not ask that.
Because there's.
Yeah, it's Jay-Z and Beyonce.
There's people that think there's Illuminati.
Satanists.
Yes. There's people that think there's Illuminati in hip hop. There's people that think there's Illuminati in sports. There's people that think Illuminati in everywhere else. Why
they
not
think
fandom?
it's the Illuminati, but no, the
Dan
Illuminati.
Brown.
Why not
dives
fandom?
into all of these things.
Yes.
Guys, this episode's gonna get real whack real quick if we keep going on this tangent. So we've got a lot to cover. There's definitely a lot going on.
We do.
So let's cue the music.
Meanwhile, back on the podcast, 4 colossal nerds named Saba, Chris, Christina, and Frank have set out to take on a great darkness that has enveloped the world of fandom. With their powers of common sense and the strength to take on even the most butthurt Twitter mobs and insufferable comment section trolls. They fight for truth, objectivity, and nuance in the conversation and debate over fictional made-up shit.
Welcome back to another exciting episode of Meanwhile Back on the Podcast. I'm Frank McGuire.
I'm Saba Amir.
I'm Christina Dudumas.
Matt Fowler.
Matt, I love the way you just...
I always try to think of a different one.
It's good. It's good.
I just I panic when it's like my name. Everyone can see I slightly panic in the room when I have to say my name.
Do you dislike being called on in class? Was that your personality when you were in school?
I think it's that we recently just got comfortable sharing our last names with our audience, right? Like, it's it wasn't a quick evolution for us to get to this point, but we eventually did it. I feel good about it. I host you guys do too. I don't want my co-host to be uncomfortable.
There's a blooper reel out there somewhere of me just fucking up my name
for sure.
over and over again.
For sure there is.
Frank insists that our fans should be able to find us.
Not find
Come
us.
find us.
Not find us.
We dare you.
I'm okay with it. I'm on like pretty much every platform ever with my name.
I call myself Foul Matt on everything.
Foul Matt?
Yeah,
nice.
Because it's like FOW.
Nice.
Yeah.
That sounds like a 30s Chicago gangster name or something.
Yeah.
If any
Foul
Italians
Matt,
were ever named Matt, if any Italians were ever named Matt. But yeah, so guys, there's some crazy shit going down.
There's a little bit of some changes going on.
Bonkers things.
There's some
down.
nutty shit going on. Like, just before we got here, Bob Iger stepped down as CEO of Disney.
And not only that, but stepped down immediately, which is weird.
Wild.
And has a replacement already.
Yeah, because usually this is what I was saying, like, usually when someone steps down from a big company like this, there's like a statement, a period of transition, everything else. Like, what time is it over in like California? Like, it's
3 hours.
So it's like 5 o'clock.
So it's 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Now,
it's like 5
o'clock.
It's like
dinner time.
Yeah, like
so
leave at the end of the day. By the way, I'm gone now.
So that's my last day, people.
On a Monday.
I'm sure it started a couple days ago,
Tuesday.
and they were like probably like, hey, let's talk to the PR team, see how they want to spin this, blah, 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 blah. That's very much corporate America. That's kind of really how it works. When somebody like of that high position leaves, you have to control the narrative around it. Because if you don't, basically the stock market will react to it in a way that could be volatile.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, they're stockholders. Like, I know a couple people who hold Disney stock. I'm actually interested in getting on the phone with them and kind of getting their take on it. Because the stockholders, I don't know how they're going to react to this. Because Bob Iger, like, you can't take away this guy's.
He's done so much the last
bona
couple
fides.
years.
Like, dude, he acquired Pixar, he acquired Marvel, and he acquired Star Wars. Like, it doesn't get any better than that.
For sure.
They cornered the Hollywood with those three.
But even if the stocks do take a dip, I do think because of all of this, they are in a good position. I was just reading that he was saying that he's going to help over like the 22-month transition.
Yeah.
So there's going to be like about a year or two of transitioning that's going on. So I'm assuming this new guy, Bob, what's his name? Bob
Chapek?
Bob
Is it Chapek? Yeah.
Yeah, he's an ECO. He was the chairman of the Disney Parks Experience and Products.
Okay.
So that's,
okay.
You know.
Does he have media background?
That's interesting.
Yeah, so he probably made the like Pirates of the Caribbean ride.
that everyone loves.
Which launched a franchise.
That's interesting that they're falling back on their parks people. Because the parks have to be a smaller part of their business by now, wouldn't they?
The parks are pretty huge.
Like they have the new Star Wars one that they just made.
They're huge.
Like Galaxy's Edge.
The Star Wars Galaxy's Edge was so big, they were like, we're not promoting it anymore because we don't want people to go because we don't have enough workers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. And Rise of the Resistance, apparently, like, you literally have to be, I don't know how the admittance system works.
You have to sell your first child.
But it's something about, like, they text you on the day if they have an opening for you or something along those lines. I don't know how it works.
So you have to be there, like, in Cali?
Yeah. So, like, guys, I don't know if you've been on the ride, if you've been on Rise of the Resistance and you're listening, drop us a message on Instagram and kind of walk us through this because, like, we have no idea how this works. I know a couple people have seasons passes to Disney World, so they're really my resource on this kind of thing. But
that's my family probably. They're like obsessed with it.
Yeah,
I only want to make a lightsaber.
Like Iger, it's crazy. And then on the other side of the fence,
just Dan
Didio,
everyone getting chopped.
Got fired.
Well, he's
from DC Comics.
Let go.
Yeah.
Well, this one was more like people in the industry were like they saw this coming.
We had an episode about, I think it was like 3 or 4 months back, and we were talking about this article in Forbes, where Forbes is basically, they were looking at the trends that DC was exhibiting in their event and show marketing, and how they were like decreasing their booth size like every year and this and that. And they're like, oh, DC's going to go the way of the dodo. Like DC's gone, right? And AT&T really doesn't have any other, I don't think they have any other publishing properties except for DC.
No, I think that's pretty much it.
And I don't see AT&T being too excited about the publishing business. It just doesn't strike me like, as their wheelhouse, right?
Yeah. And what we could talk about too with Dan is what he was trying to do with just this 5G, the 5th generation, like his way to kind of reboot that, which I think is coming on October.
Yeah.
So basically replacing a lot of these, legacy characters that we know, like Batman was going to be
potentially African American.
Yeah. And then we have like Clark Kent's son.
See, Marvel did that and they failed.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, I guess all the comic book artists and writers on DC were kind of scared, like, that this was going to happen. Like, even Scott Snyder was like, I am not letting you use my Batman.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the thing with the movies coming out and then this 5G launch.
Yeah. And AT&T is not happy about this 5G launch
because they want, they just want to use classic characters. They don't really have the time to invest in new characters.
I don't think it's a sense of like nostalgia, like they want to hold on to these classic characters. I think it's about aligning their business interests with their film properties, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
They just started picking up Thunder, like in the last 2 years.
Yeah,
after the slips.
So with with Wonder Woman and with Batman coming out and Green Lantern being on HBO Max and Blue Beetle on HBO Max, it's not the time to kind of reinvent the wheel. Do you get what I'm saying?
I think so that too. Makes sense. It should be too confusing for people.
It's in their best interest to actually like, if Dan Didio is the guy that's like, 5G's a must. 5G's a must. We got to do it. 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 Right. And then Jim Lee, like his partner, his his co-publisher is like, we don't really have to do it. Right. Dan Didio becomes expendable right away.
Yeah.
Because if Jim Lee will carry it, and like, and if you know anything about Jim Lee's reputation, like, that guy's a comic book fucking god. Like, he's the guy that launched X-Men #1, right? He's the guy that did that 3-page fold-out cover thing, and that was the best-selling comic book of all time. Was the one that was the X-Men #1 that Jim Lee did. So that guy, they're gonna trust him with whatever he says too. He's legend. He's fucking total legend.
And that's why like a lot of people in the business are saying they would like a Jeff Johns kind of thing, like a new guy who's been taking the reins.
That's what Ethan Van Sciver said. Yeah,
and Rebirth, and like to be honest, like him and Scott Snyder are the only DC writers I've been reading lately.
Yeah,
I think the other thing that I also heard about Dan is that, and this is just from the rumor mill, that like he was a micromanager as well, which people did not appreciate, even though he was like sort of like rising the ranks. Yeah, like he was really getting into people's business. And then this is another rumor I've heard from multiple sources, just like on the internet, of course. So, take it with a grain of salt. But he didn't really foster a good work environment for the most part. That people were kind of getting annoyed with this kind of micromanaging and all that, which anyone who's worked with a micromanager could probably say, like, yeah, that is.
Right.
Just, especially because his role was supposed to be more of an overseer. With a 5G launch, especially because AT&T is like really pushing it though, because they're like, one of the other things you're talking about is them saying, if this doesn't work, then like there goes DC for us, essentially.
Right.
Which is also, I mean, this is already something that they don't really want to do. So I don't know, like, are they just sort of wanting to get it off their hands? Like,
so here's what, as somebody who kind of works in this world, I got to say that the best move, well, let me backpedal a bit because I just want to establish a couple of things here. So going back to what you were saying about Dan Didio's management style, apparently he's being blamed for a lot of the downsizing that's happened as of late. And that there was some people who obviously weren't happy. Like if your top writer on Batman isn't happy with you, chances are you're probably not going to have a very long shelf life.
Was it Bat Metal?
Yeah.
Was like one of the best comic book storylines.
He introduced Batman Who Laughs and all that. Yeah. And Rob Liefeld, the guy who created Deadpool, was like quick to go to Twitter and basically say, good.
Yeah.
Like, fuck this dude.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
he said they were like vaporizing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, he's not been a fan. Like he's like, I stopped reading DC ages ago and I hate the fact that it's gone the way that it's gone and it's become what it's become. I don't know whether if he's specifically referring to 52 or Rebirth or whatever.
No, I think he's talking about now, because like now that Rebirth is kind of like did its thing, they're on this like weird like Year of the Villains.
Yeah.
They got the DC Black label, you got the DC Universe, you got Detective Comics.
Yeah.
Like all these labels and all these different stories that like people are just like, what? Like
maybe they're just trying to see what sticks because they haven't been doing well, so they're hoping something will stick to the wall, I guess.
It doesn't seem to be. And then I know like we all have like theories for why.
Sure.
Personally, like I think looking at, if we're comparing it to Marvel, I think what happened with Marvel that kind of helped boost their sales was the success of their cinematic universe.
I think that's definitely I think that's a
like
valid,
and that's why
argument.
I think Marvel was so successful with their cinematic universe that they were like, hey, let's experiment with our comics. They did it and it failed. So now they're back at like, they relaunched the X-Men as like a brand new continuity.
Yeah.
And like, but it's like original characters.
Yeah.
So like what they did before was try to like bring up like younger characters like X-23, she's the new Wolverine and stuff like that. Whereas like DC are saying basically, would they like create new characters?
Right.
Or would they don't have these characters to kind of like step up through the ranks and take over these monikers of people.
The problem with the comic book business, as far as I see it, is that they all have digital platforms now, right? So Marvel has Marvel Unlimited. I've read a ton of shit on that. Maybe 120 issues. I haven't gone out and bought a single copy.
I haven't had a physical
I have a
copy
$9.99 subscription to read whatever I want.
Yeah, it's so much better
like
that
unlimited
way.
titles, right?
I think that's the way they wanted to go. They wanted to get rid of printing in general now.
Yeah. I used to work in the magazine business, and I can tell you right now, magazines are not in a good place right now.
No, magazines, newspapers, like it's messed up.
No, they're not in a good place right now.
The world's gone topsy-turvy.
They're archaic.
People are reading news and stuff. Just it's all online now.
Yeah,
but like they don't realize these are the journalists that get the real news.
Yeah.
The people in the newspaper and these magazines, whereas like the other people, they just read it off a wire.
Well, no, some of the newspapers are online now too.
Yeah.
They've
like
evolved. You have to
Yeah.
evolve.
Yeah.
It's just like your bank. Your bank is now online. They have to change with the times. You can't just like stick to print media.
But what has DC really, I mean, they've been taking I don't know, like, where they've sort of been taking their risks or not taking their risks. I don't know, like, it doesn't seem like they've had a clear direction. I don't know if they've had someone really clearly, like, steering them in a certain way. Like, I think it's good to try out all these different things and see what sticks. That's a plan. But, like, there hasn't seemed to have been, like, an overall concise vision.
Well, it's fair to say that to actually be able to, like, to get a real understanding, like a real comprehension of what's really involved with the actual content and the narrative, like, you'd have to quit your job to catch up and read everything.
Yeah, that's what
That is
I've
so
been
true.
trying my life.
Like,
I've been trying so hard.
Like,
I'm almost
it's-
there with Marvel. I couldn't even do it with DC.
The
like,
amount,
it's all over the
the amount of comic books that come out are just like it's suffocating, to be
No,
honest.
No, it is. It's very
it
daunting.
should be like
it's
one
very daunting.
book, like one
That's
or
not
two
going to
books,
happen.
like a
we know
week.
that. Yeah, but we know
But
that's
I
not
think
going to
that's
happen.
a reason a lot of people don't like. I think
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who are interested in comics
Yeah.
but won't fully go into it because it is really daunting. Like, it's
Super
super
daunting.
daunting.
Well, X-Men's fun to read week to week because there's so many different titles now.
Yeah.
Whereas like other titles, I wait for like a full volume to come out because I like when the story's so slow, like issue to issue.
Yeah.
They always like 2 pages are for a recap of the page that you just read like last week. So it's just
Yeah.
like volume's the best way to go, I find. Just like consistent storytelling.
Yeah, that's what I like. I like reading story arcs.
Yeah.
So
I
I usually follow like a writer, and then if they're doing a story arc for a comic I like, I'll go read that comic.
I have this compulsion whenever I'm reading something, and you know when they have that little like box in the corner,
Yep.
like see issue da da da
Yep.
da da. I'm like,
I'm like
"Fuck!"
that. I'm like that
Oh,
too,
that's
man.
That's a marketing ploy.
Oh my God.
I know, but
what that
but
reminds me of was like a side quest in a video game. Where
Yeah.
like,
yeah,
I don't need to go catch those frogs, but I'm gonna go catch those
I go
frogs.
into like an OCD spiral and I'm like, I need this comic now. I need to know.
for me it's like this. It's like if I don't have a full grasp of a mythology or a mythos or
Yeah, it hurts.
a character's arc, I'm like, there's a hole in there somewhere where there's something like totally fucking profound that's gonna like change everything,
Yeah.
and I need to fucking find it,
Yeah,
right? And that's my first instinct.
Feel it.
And then when I find it and it's not fucking profound, I'm like,
There
fuck
was
you,
no
sir.
need for this.
Fuck you.
Yeah, I don't
But-
really do it that much for
yeah.
DC. Marvel, I go off of the rails sometimes. DC, I've just been reading like whatever that inspires the newest movies. Like I read
Yeah.
all the Aquaman after the Aquaman came out.
Mhm.
So like I really saw where Ang Lee got his ideas. Was it Ang Lee? No.
What, I don't
Who
know. It
did
wasn't
he?
Ang Lee.
Who?
Ang
Who
Lee
did
did like Crutch. He did
Aquaman.
Gemini
Yeah.
Man.
Who am I thinking?
And-
Oh, Justin Lim.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, Justin Lim.
But in terms
So
of
the-
like going back to like DC
Yeah.
and like their future
Yeah.
and like I was thinking what are the things that they are currently doing well? So things that are kind of booming for them or doing well. I guess like their Arrowverse is popular, but that's a certain group of people watch that.
They have a good grasp on television. They have
animated
a good
movies are well, but
Yeah,
I don't know how
very well.
wide received
very
those
well,
are.
well. Yeah. But they have a small fan base that are very loyal
Yeah.
and will go out and watch every one of them or buy like and their actual monetization model, like obviously there's no theatrical releases for these movies. I think maybe they do it in LA or whatever, which is really cool, and I'd love to be in LA, you know when they do a premiere for one of these. That'd be really dope. But it's mostly like straight to video, like, Blu-ray, right? And you go to Best Buy and you pick up a Blu-ray, and then what they'll do is they'll take 3 titles and then they'll condense it into one title and they'll be like, here's all your favorite Superman stories, or here's your favorite Batman stories, right? And they'll sell that as like you get three videos in one kind of deal, or
Oh yeah,
Or-
I know what you're talking about.
or 3
yeah.
movies in one, right?
Which isn't like sustainable as like a like really like I'm not saying that like obviously they are like they're creating a content.
Yeah.
Well,
But in terms of like, marketing and having people buy stuff, like
Right.
that's not where you're getting
No,
money.
no. So I read that everybody's speculating that okay, so there's rumors now. Okay, so basically the first 3 stories we had to talk about today kind of just tumble back into each other, right?
just
Like
a
they're
blob.
basically, so they kind of all basically follow each other. That's what's happening with these stories. So we need to pedal back, and we need to pedal back because of this. So I think it was like 4 or 5 months ago, 3 months ago, we never did a show on this. We were trying to do a show on this. I think we ran into something else, and priority kind of took over. But Kevin Feige got announced as the head of the creative group for Marvel.
Mhm.
Everything.
Yeah.
Comic books, television, films, everything. Like he's heading up the entire thing. Okay. So that happens, let's say roughly 3 or 4 months ago. And then Dan Didio gets let go from DC. So Dan Didio gets before that happens, my bad. I'm fucking up my continuity here. Doomsday Clock.
Yeah, Jeff Johns.
By Jeff Johns.
Mhm.
Doomsday Clock is written by Jeff Johns, and they just released the final issue, I think like a month or two ago.
Yeah,
and
finished.
There's actually panels that make direct references to Marvel characters.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And it's not like DC's never done a crossover with Marvel before. They have. There was actually a new label created between DC and Marvel called Amalgam. And Amalgam was like basically like genetic hybrids of different heroes. So
Yeah,
Batman and
Longclaw,
Wolverine was Darkclaw.
Darkclaw,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I can't remember some of the other ones. The Darkclaw is the one that kind of sticks in my brain.
He was the only cool one, really.
Yeah.
I was
So
gonna
The
say,
Captain America.
I
Was
kind of
kinda
don't see the
junior.
point of that. I feel like they're each their own like entities. But yeah, anyway. continue.
it actually sold fairly well.
Yeah.
One of the best-selling comic books of all time is the X-Men versus the Teen Titans,
Mhm.
without a
Okay.
doubt. So it works. These crossovers are actually desired by comic book readers. So Kevin's now basically head of publishing for Marvel, right? Doomsday Clock gets written with a very clear indication that there's a Marvel crossover coming. They mentioned Thor by
2030.
name. Sorry?
It says 2030.
That's the year they're setting it in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is interesting
Secret
because at the end of
Crisis.
Endgame, where are we at? We're at 2025,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mhm,
Which-
That's true.
which is interesting.
Do you have your tinfoil hat on right now?
I kind of do.
Okay, I want to hear the rest of this.
And then Dan Didio gets let go as one of the co-publishers of DC. Jim Lee stays. Jim Lee has roots in Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Dan Didio, I don't think does.
No.
And AT&T is not a publishing company. They don't give probably 2 fucks about publishing. However, they're a smart company, and they understand that the IP is probably worth a ton of money.
For sure.
Mhm.
As far as Wonder Woman goes, Batman, like the Trinity, Flash,
Well,
obviously, right?
These articles were kind of confusing because they said they want to use those characters for TV and movie, but not publishing anymore. So
Licensing,
would they
sir.
just license
Yes,
the
the publishing rights.
to Marvel if they
Yes.
wanted it?
But I'm sure they'll still have control over how those
the whole
characters are
thing-
used. Should Marvel?
Well, yeah,
obtain
if
it,
they're, if their
It's like the
lawyers are
Sony thing
slimy
right
enough,
now.
then they will exercise control over, like, basically they'll do up a licensing agreement where it'd be like Marvel. If Marvel comes in, it only makes sense for Marvel to purchase. Well, they could purchase the entire thing. Here's what I want to happen. I want to see Sony buy the entire thing.
Yes, I was thinking the same thing.
There's people saying
Sony
that.
needs to give Spider-Man away.
I want to
Yeah,
see
that would be
Sony.
And
cool.
literally, because they
Yeah.
are the next. Because Warner, AT&T, they
Yeah.
just don't really care anymore. I find,
Yeah.
and whereas Sony's like, we want this, even though
Warner
for years
cares.
they've been saying
Wait,
they're gonna
wait,
sell
wait.
their-
Warner cares.
Warner
They got J.J.
cares.
Abrams.
Warner, they invented the Batman animated universe, right?
yeah.
Okay. So I think that they kind of have an emotional stake in this game.
Well,
right?
not Time Warner, but AT&T, like owning Time
Yeah,
Warner.
AT&T as a conglomerate doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Right? They have a bunch of guys in a room, like with calculators, basically working out how to get the most profit out of this.
Yeah.
Right? That's
Just milk it.
that's their game, right? They care more about 5G, their network, their
Yeah.
cell phone network, than 5G DC. Okay.
Which
And you
was
get
that
also
more
another,
when you Google it,
another
when-
confusing
Even
thing.
to me, it sounded like they were really pushing for lots and lots of diversity, and maybe Didio couldn't push for that or get it.
No,
Maybe
I think he
couldn't-
was the one pushing for it.
I don't
AT&T
think he
pushed back
achieved
against
the
him.
goal. I don't think he got
Yeah.
to the level of diversity that they wanted. Because I read something like they wanted a black Batman. So if the
And
writer,
Scott Snyder,
yeah, if he was pushing back, then that means that
Yeah.
Didio wasn't successful in
Exactly.
getting that black Batman. So then it
Exactly.
would make sense that AT&T will be like, fine, we'll find someone else who can, kind of thing.
I don't think that's
So-
what's going to happen. I think
Yeah.
Scott Snyder holds more cards than Dan
Yeah.
Didio does.
Yep. I
That's
think
the
so
problem.
too. I think his Metal series he wants to continue.
Yeah.
Like with Wonder Woman, Superman. Like,
Yeah.
And I think that's a good idea because like that's where you got most success over the last few years. Is
I think that
Doom's
makes-
Clock and
That makes sense. I don't get why they would want to erase characters from existence anyway.
No.
Like-
It's not about, like, nobody's going to erase the characters from
Okay.
no, they're
existence.
gonna be
That's kinda
there.
how it
It's just
seems
that
like
they're
to
not
me.
gonna
No,
focus
no,
the
no, no,
continuity
no,
on
no.
them.
Okay.
No. But like, what's kind of being weighed is what happens if AT&T does sell off the or they basically kill the publishing division, and we only have DC in terms of the film and TV universe and no more comic books? Will fans be okay with that?
Well,
right?
then here's the thing though about this, and which I like how you pulled it back to the Doomsday thing, which is like it's like it was predicted in that.
I can't
issue.
take credit for this, but but there's another writer that basically was Doomsday Clock the clock ticking down for DC?
Yeah,
and I was like,
I read that and I was like, oh,
I'm picturing the
drop.
aliens
Ouch.
like
mic drop.
I'm picturing ancient aliens, like GIF, like aliens one, like this is it.
Carved in a tablet. Like,
yeah. But yeah, okay. So this is the thing. I don't like the idea of the licensing rights splitting up from the movie rights though, because I think there's a lot of back and forth in there and I know that Marvel's kind of capitalized a bit on that as well. I don't know if Marvel was to get the licensing right for DC, would they still treat it separately, or are we going to see more of this
look at it now.
crossover thing?
Most of their media, they use a lot of New 52 for the movies lately.
Yep.
So they're taking it from a little further back.
The
So they
Flash
still have a
movie-
lot of catalog that they could still go through, and they
Yeah.
don't really. But I don't know if they want to coincide the TV and the comic books and the whole media and bunch it together like Star Wars is right now.
Yeah. So, okay.
And if Marvel did take over the writing of the comics, then that would mean that DC could still make movies based on stories
Yes.
that were written by Marvel.
Yes.
And that might not be in Marvel's best interest.
It may
too.
not be in
Yeah.
Marvel's best
No.
interest,
'Cause then they're
but at the
creating
end of the day,
competition for themselves.
the fans have the power now.
Yes.
Doesn't matter what
Yes,
happens.
We did it with Sonic.
Doesn't
We'll do
matter.
it again.
It doesn't matter what happens now because the voice of the consumer has been so democratized, where they can literally turn to Twitter and shout at companies about what they want and what they need. That's what will control how these decisions are made. Look what happened with Spider-Man. Tom Holland heard the call from the fans, and he calls Bob Iger. Oh, thank God Bob Iger didn't get let go before he brought Spider-Man
Oh,
back,
yeah.
right?
Geez, that would have been.
Oh my God.
Part of me
Like-
wants him out of the MCU,
But
though.
also, part of me thinks this is that was a weird publicity thing.
I think
too,
so.
because I was no way. Are they going to cut him out?
They're still
They're
talking about it. Bob Iger's like, Tom Holland owes me a beer. Tom Holland owes me a beer.
Oh, okay, Bob Iger.
Yeah. So thank God Bob didn't leave before Tom had a chance to convince him, because I don't know where we'd be with Spider-Man. But when that happened and the fans cried out, it was listened to for sure. It was listened to. And the thing that's going on with Amber Heard right now in Aquaman, that's being heard right
Well,
now.
when
as
millions
well.
of people are like, I'm going to see a third movie of this if you make it, they kind of have to respond to that.
Yeah.
No, I know.
That's
I know,
yeah.
but that's my point is that the fans will control the ultimate outcome.
Yeah.
And I think that is good, and then also bad depending on how the
Right.
whatever it is. But for me personally, I think I don't know if I don't think that AT&T was the right people to have DC. They don't seem really interested in doing anything.
Well, they wanted Warner Brothers. They didn't give a shit about.
Yeah. Exactly. So
Yeah.
I don't mind DC leaving to other hands that could possibly
Yeah.
help sort of usher it into a new age, because it is in a transitional phase, and we've
Right.
known in the last few years comics have not been doing as well
Right.
as they have been, and
Right.
that just means there needs to be a change, and that could be consuming on different mediums or whatever else it is, but they need to be in more loving hands, if that
Right.
makes
Mm.
sense.
Right.
Um
But if I'm the CEO of Warner, it's going to become very evident to me very quickly that obviously the IP is worth more than the publishing division by far, because the IP can be stretched into so many different
many
revenue
different
streams, and
Just
so many
cartoons alone,
cartoons,
toys,
books, video games,
toys,
yeah,
books.
everything.
It just runs the gamut. Video games,
Yeah.
right? It just runs the gamut.
Oh yeah, they're
So-
rebooting Arkham Asylum.
Right.
They're doing
so
Superman,
right.
Rocksteady. I think.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So if let's say they do license the publishing rights to Marvel, right? Marvel can put themselves in a position where they can they can become more creative about their storytelling, which is really cool. They could do a real like they've done multiverse before, but they could do fucking insane multiverse now.
They could. I don't know. I don't
And
know how I
and
feel
going back
about
to my
it.
conspiracy,
Yeah.
how many multiverses have we been dealing with as of late?
Oh
Can I
yeah,
tell you?
not too recently.
My mind
Crisis happens.
Yeah.
Crisis happens in the Arrowverse. The multiverse of madness is coming up with Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Yep.
how do we know this hasn't been fucking planned for
Yeah.
Oh my
years?
goodness.
Yeah,
This
it
is
would be
already
crazy
So
because like
conspiracy theorists
How do
right
we
now.
know?
This
How
does
do we
happen
know?
often in the comic book
'Cause
world,
DC
though. There's so
just-
many
did a-
multiverses kind of have happened in
Well,
the past.
They did a
DC
Power
started
Ranger
that
one
trend,
with
right?
Boom.
Like DC really started that trend
With the
where they
green-
had
yeah.
they did
too
Ninja
many
Turtles.
Earths, right? They had way too many Earths, and they did Crisis on Infinite Earths within the comic book back in the 80s, and they basically killed all the multiverses off so they could continue so they could create some sort of fluid continuity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's, see,
Between
that's a
their
good
storytelling.
idea.
because that
of
makes
doing
it confusing
Instead
too.
of just
It
being
is
like
hard
New
to
52.
it's hard to keep track of who's from what universe and who
Fucking
lives
right.
on what planet.
yeah.
I'm
Fucking
always
right.
so
That's great.
confused, and
Fucking
especially
right.
because everybody like intermingles too. They don't
Yeah.
stay in their own
And
universe.
then
Yeah,
as
so
soon
like,
as that happens,
how many
critics are
flashes
just
are
like,
there?
I'm out.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
so
I know.
confusing.
That's why I'm saying why it's so daunting. Like
Yeah.
even me, like when I want to go read or get into something because I don't really read a lot of DC
Right.
comics. I'm like, where do I even start?
Yeah,
And that is based on
Yeah.
sci-fi though, or whatever science.
Oh, it totally
I guess.
is.
Yeah.
totally is. No, listen. The Golden Age comic book writers grew up reading pulp magazines of like sci-fi stories and the Twilight Zone and like all these different properties. Like you can see in their influence that they are influenced by sci-fi. If you read Crisis on Infinite Earths, it's like you can tell that there was a physicist like sitting next to them when they were like, "Is this right? Is this
Oh,
right?"
yeah, they
Or
definitely,
you
like-
hope so.
And
Yeah.
There's
research
probably
stuff.
so many companies that are going to be interested in purchasing DC too if it's
Yeah.
for sale.
There's a lot of
so
other
yeah,
I don't-
I'm
but
sure.
that makes-
I don't
I'm
think
sure
they're
like
gonna
it's
have the
not
money
just
compared to
Marvel.
everyone else.
Yeah.
That makes me because then the whole thing we talked about before this was like a monopoly as well.
I want the government to block it if it happens.
I don't know if
Yeah.
the government would like because it's not like it's a.
Well, if it's a licensing deal, they can't block it. If it's a straight out purchase, they can block it.
Do you think
Yeah.
so for comics? It
Yeah.
could?
No. Like if they want to sell, okay, so if Warner Brothers was to say, or AT&T was like, we're gonna sell Warner Brothers to Disney,
Yeah.
right?
Then
Then that's a much bigger issue.
yeah.
But if
It's just DC.
but if it's just DC and all the film properties, they may get away with it.
Yeah.
But it's still a monopoly, especially in today's
yeah,
market,
For sure it
Oh,
is.
yeah.
because they're
100%.
dominating.
Marvel.
They're dominating the
like
they're
Star
dominating
Wars,
Hollywood, right?
Pixar,
Yeah.
Yeah.
whatever else.
Yeah.
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 And there's a few other smaller comic book publishing houses too.
They
So
can't
if-
afford it.
Yeah.
No, they can't. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like they're struggling.
But
They can't
are they
afford it.
owned by conglomerates as well?
No,
or
I don't think
yeah, they're
so.
just
No.
small independent.
Image, Boom.
I heard IDW reported losses, but
Did
yeah.
they?
Yeah.
Oh, that's sad.
In
Because IDW would have been
2019.
a really good place
yeah,
for DC.
that's what I could have pictured, but it
Yeah.
could have only happened if they're owned by a larger company.
Yeah, but like the comic book business is so incestuous too. Like you have a dealer that the stores go to get all their to get all their books. Like they go to a dealer, like one main dealer almost. It's like 3 dealers in the country. There's not more than that apparently, and they all go to the same dealer and they buy their books, and they're like because it's all independent comic shops, most of it, right? There's very few chain comic book shops apparently. So they just go to one single dealer, and that's who controls the business flow is the dealers. Like it's not even the publisher and it's not even the shops. It's the fucking dealer market. Like they're the ones that have the power and the conglomeration to really affect things. But yeah. So I would love to see Sony jump into this and buy Warner Brothers.
They wouldn't have to sell off their movies, their films. They
No.
because that was the rumor for a while.
Well, the smart thing they would do is they would sell Spider-Man,
Yeah.
right?
But
They
I
would sell
want- I
Spider-Man,
want
take
in-
the money from Spider-Man, and buy fucking DC.
But I want Into the Spider-Verse, the second one. They're working on
Yeah,
that.
they won't.
I don't see why Marvel wouldn't carry
Yeah,
that
if Marvel
through.
had to, they
yeah.
just absorb the creative team and do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Like they did
Yeah.
New Mutants.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. I could see that. Sony is the only. I can't think of anyone else.
It would
who
make
be
sense
the one
for-
to buy it.
It would make
Or
sense for
could-
Marvel to get
'cause-
Spider-Man, and that's probably like one of their main interests anyway.
That's the only thing they really have left, main interest wise.
Yeah.
Like
I feel
they're screwing around with the Hulk and letting him might be in the She-Hulk and stuff like that.
I kind of
'cause
hope he is.
Universal owns the rights.
I
to
saw that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
kind of hope he is.
So it's
in
like
She-Hulk.
Universal. It's like Universal and Sony with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I like Bruce Banner.
Yeah. I don't know if like Sony would want to take its hand out of the MCU pot though. You know what I mean? The honey pot.
Oh yeah, it's money.
Yeah. That's easy money
It's
for
money.
sure.
I kind of feel bad for Jim Lee though, because I can't imagine what's going through his head right now. He's like, "Am I next? Like, are they going to destroy this? Like, is this company? Like, are we done? Are they going to shut the doors? Like, what the fuck am I gonna do, right? Like
Probably
obviously you
losing
get picked
hair.
up like in a minute from anybody.
He's
I
probably
feel like
really
He'll be
rich.
fine.
He's
They
fine.
can't
he
get rid
probably-
of
he is
both
really
their,
bad.
their
He's
experienced
definitely really
people.
The DC
Sorry?
itself.
They can't get rid of
Yeah.
both of them. They have to keep one,
Yeah.
right? So I feel like there's a reason why Didio got let go. It kind of felt like there was a lot of conflict there. From
Well,
what
no,
I
I
read.
definitely smell the conflict too,
Yeah.
and he definitely was surprised by it because
It seemed to me like he didn't achieve what he was set to achieve, and
I mean, he did a lot during like the aughts, like in
Yeah.
the 2000s. I feel.
No,
I
but I mean, lately, as of June
Yeah.
2019, he had the direction to create a lot of diversity, drastic diversity.
well, the 5G
And-
plan was his plan,
Yeah.
so chances are that plan's out the door now. Like,
But then what AT&T is still saying, if that doesn't do well, we're shutting it down. But I feel like the AT&T's like excuse, like I think they want to shut it down.
I think that's journalists trying to create a story. Like, they're just like, they want 5G to kind of still be on the table, and I'm sure there's a lot of DC fans that are excited about the 5G premise.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of fans that are actually equally pushing back against the 5G premise as well.
I just think, yeah, either way, like either or for those comics, I just really think like AT&T wants to be done with it.
Yeah.
That's just the feeling I'm getting,
Yeah.
like from them.
So just to kind of give some context to Didio's exit, so he was definitely surprised by it, because he was like he did a Twitter post, and he said, overwhelmed and humbled by the outpouring of love and support, and it leaves me at a loss for words. First time for everything. So instead, I'll turn to what was said nearly 5 years ago. And he posted up a video, and he's basically, they were shutting down the DC, like the DC location, like the office, and moving to new location or whatever. And he was kind of like, he's very emotive, very tearful about it. And then somebody in the crowd was like, he was like, oh, I don't know if I can get through this. And somebody in the crowd was like, take a shot. And he walks over to the table, he takes a shot. He's like, hey, that worked. All right. And then he just started kind of talking, and he was saying that no matter what happens to the company, it's the people that were there to create the stories and to create the characters and to create the worlds that are the most important. And he wanted to acknowledge that that the team that he had under him were like the most talented people in the comic book business, and that they produced some of the best content that he's ever seen. So it's kind of weird that the narrative is that he was responsible for a lot of the downsizing, after you kind of hear that he has that kind of attitude. But maybe things kind of got shook up for him, in his transition from going to AT&T. Maybe there was just something that couldn't be.
Yeah,
I think
once
time,
you
like-
get new managers,
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
like maybe he was forced to micromanage from his micromanagers.
I mean,
Yeah.
anytime like a company kind of merges or swallows up another company, you
Yeah.
have downsizing.
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
regardless-
operations change.
Yeah, regardless of like whatever media or whatever it is. Like,
And you're kind of in this position where you have to show success really quickly in order to kind of keep your job
results,
too.
results.
Yeah, it's all about results, right? So that's what I mean. Maybe he just didn't get those results fast enough.
Yeah.
Well, like Rebirth, like did really well. Like
Yeah.
when it first came out, like
Yeah, it
it
was
was
good.
selling out of the stores. Like my
It was
roommate
good.
was calling stores and stuff. I was like, just get a subscription.
Green Lantern Rebirth, I can tell you was fucking
and,
dope.
and it's something I've been wanting to get back
Really
into.
dope.
mhm.
Yeah. And there are people hoping that Jeff Johns is going to be the guy to pick up the
I
ball
would
here.
love for him because
Okay.
they use a lot of his stories and
I want to put one beat on that. Okay. Jeff Johns is a great writer, 100%.
Mhm.
Okay. I question his management talent though, and the reason I question his management talent is he's been behind all the movies.
oh yeah, I know what
He-
you're talking about.
His name is credited on
Lately?
everything,
What
TV
was-
shows, movies, everything.
What
Right?
was
For-
2017? When did he get
He
hired?
wrote the original Green Lantern movie, right? And I don't know where he got into his head that Parallax should be a cloud.
Yeah,
Do you get what I'm
Well-
saying? Like it just seems like he
it was the same as
he hasn't
Galactus.
taken some of the best steps. And the fact that we're still
But like Kevin Feige's done the
I
same
didn't even
thing.
think about this.
What?
The Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
Snyder Cut.
The fucking fans are going to be like up in arms now. They're going to be like, holy shit. Now, like if DC goes down, we better get this fucking
Yeah.
Snyder Cut.
Oh my
before it
God.
goes
I'm pretty
down.
sure that's not actually happening.
I don't think this. I don't think this
I don't think
will ever happen.
it fully exists.
Yeah.
It does
I don't
exist.
believe
It does like
It
fully
does.
like
Yeah.
fully finished.
Jason
like,
Momoa's
graphics
seen
and
it.
everything.
Jason Momoa has seen it.
I don't know.
Um,
Did he watch it or was he high and watching
Yeah.
it?
Maybe.
or just
Maybe.
starting
Yeah, they were at a
some
party.
stuff.
Maybe.
Because I want to see it so bad.
Ben Affleck recently came to support supports Snyder
Yeah,
too.
I read
Yeah.
that too.
He's like, they should release they should release his cut of the Justice League.
Like, it made no sense
So-
to edit a mustache out of a man's face
That
Well,
looks
it's-
so
and put that on an actual
bad.
It's
movie.
not even just that. It's
it looks so weird.
it's-
just
there's
making
so
those
many-
scenes. They didn't make any sense.
see. Okay, we need
We have a whole episode on this.
we need to do it. We need to
Yeah.
finish that. We really need to finish that because we've actually uncovered some scenes that were supposed to be in it, and some of them are just like fucking mind blowing. Like they're so
Frank,
good.
I
Frank
didn't.
lost
Yeah,
his
you
mind.
thought they were mind.
You guys
blowing.
like
No,
it.
I did
Dark
too. It's
Side.
just funny to poke fun at you
I would
because
love
you're
to see
really
Superman
passionate.
I'm really
back.
passionate about
I
Snyder
was
Cut.
like, oh, more fight scenes.
I'm really passionate about
yay.
Snyder Cut. No,
Um,
there's actually way more character development
Yeah, a
too.
little.
Oh,
bit.
yeah, it was-
And
A lot of
so okay, so I don't want to go into the movie slate for DC like in this conversation
Yeah,
because
we have
we're
that
doing it
episode
later.
coming up.
for sure. There's a lot to talk about.
But this will definitely play a role in our conversation with that because we're talking about Rebirth and New 52, and the movie slate looks highly influenced
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
New 52 and
Mhm.
Rebirth. Like the Shazam movie was basically
New 52.
New 52.
Same with Aquaman.
Right.
It was all the volumes kind of just smashed in together.
Yeah. So we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, but I don't know what's going to happen here,
Yeah,
man.
And I feel like by next week we'll have more news anyway. Like there's gonna
Oh,
be
yeah,
there
it's gonna
seems to
be
a lot
quick.
of changes happening
Yeah.
in the
I
next few
think.
days.
But the fact that all these things happen in
Successive.
a chronological line,
I feel like Frank at home has
It's
this
kinda
like
nuts.
board
I
set
do
up
with
with all the,
strings.
the strings
Strings
and
and
like
pins.
tied
Yeah, do you have
together.
like
Strings
4
and pins.
TVs like on
Yes.
different channels?
yeah, strings and pins. I'm like,
It's,
oh my god, this happened on
it's
this
like
date. This
Charlie
happened on that
from
date.
Always Sunny in Philadelphia,
Yeah.
like that meme.
I'm
It's
like-
Frank in the back.
I'm like Tom Hanks in what do you call it? Da Vinci Code, where I'm like, things are coming together. I'm putting
Yeah.
together the code pieces, and I'm like, oh my god, it's all
The rest
all
of us
coming
are
together.
just patient.
the what?
The rest of us are just gonna patiently
Yeah,
wait.
we're all just gonna wait.
Yeah, no. To me, this is fascinating.
Yeah.
So I never told you guys this. 2 of the last audiobooks I listened to were the history of Marvel and DC.
Ooh, audiobooks.
And they're really exciting. Like it's a really, really exciting story, and honestly, but interesting times. Like the way that these companies kind of interacted with each other, and the way that they kind of got on, and the way that they opposed each other and they created rivalries is really, really awesome, and it's really exciting.
That's kind of why I don't want to see
I don't wanna
Marvel
see it.
own DC.
No,
but
I
I
like
feel
Marvel
I feel like
rivalry.
the energy is like X-Men crossover with Avengers. You do that, and then what's next?
Justice League and Avengers.
So like the energy is like ramping up towards it.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
because
Did-
it would just be.
Did you mean to say X-Men and Avengers? Because we're talking about DC.
No, I know, but that's
Oh.
what I'm saying. Like they want to do X-Men Avengers.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of like what
Well, they've
they're-
done in the
they're
comic
s-
books a couple
They're
times
setting
already.
up
Yeah.
for like the MCU
Right.
kind of thing.
Right.
Like I've been hearing rumors, but
So-
like what after that? Like that's the next big crossover.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. There's rumors that Rogue is going to make her appearance in Captain Marvel too,
Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
that'd be
I would
awesome.
Love it.
to take
Love
away
Rogue.
Her powers.
Carol's powers. But I don't know.
Oh.
We'll see.
Dampen them.
That'd be
We'll see.
cool.
We'll see. It's gonna be set in the modern day, so
We'll see.
Oh,
Yeah.
I heard. Yes, I heard something else
Yeah,
about
it's
other
not gonna be
mutants
a
being in
time
other movies
shift.
too.
yeah. There's rumors about a mutant maybe appearing in Shang-Chi.
They're just gonna have
Um,
mutants everywhere. They're just gonna sprinkle them
Yeah,
everywhere.
I think so.
Well, I think they're gonna wait till the Eternals drop, and then there'll be something about
Well,
the genes from the Eternals.
the
and-
Eternals,
Well,
yeah,
'cause
they
it's-
were. It was in a comic book recently.
Yeah. Yeah.
It kinda
Did
makes
you read the
sense to do
Eternals comic
that.
book?
No, I haven't
The
read it yet, but I'm
miniseries?
going to.
It's by Neil Gaiman. It's awesome.
I need to read it because
So
I love Neil
good.
Gaiman.
I love Neil
general.
Gaiman,
So
yeah.
good.
But
So
it would
good.
make sense to introduce the mutants in different movies because they aren't going to have their own origin stories. So
True.
then that way they could like build up their origin
True.
story as sidelines.
They can't
and
introduce everybody as the X-Men. That would
Yeah.
be really
No,
silly.
It would be
weird.
too much, right?
Because like
What if they just
one of the
existed
best
the whole
thing-
time? Like we've been here.
You
We've
do
just been
separate
here.
characters, and then you do the school.
Yeah, I think
somehow.
that's how you do it. Yeah. Like I want to see the storyline where Xavier like goes out and finds them
Yeah,
and brings
exactly.
them together
Yeah.
and like I want to see that part. But, maybe we'll get that, maybe we won't. We don't know.
It might
anyways-
be Nick Fury who finds them because sometimes it's Nick Fury who finds mutants.
No, Nick Fury
He
can't
seeks-
find the
Yeah.
He
X-Men.
seeks them
Fuck
out.
that. No.
Samuel
listen,
Jackson probably will be there. Let's be honest.
I love Sam Jackson. I love him. Okay. If they have to do this story the right way, Nick Fury and Wolverine already know each other. So that would be
Yeah.
an issue.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay, so guys, hey, listen, we've been talking for 40 minutes about this whole DC Marvel thing, this, Dan Didio and Bob Iger and Kevin Feige and this crazy chronological, coincidental timeline. We'd love to know what you guys think too. So, drop us a note on Instagram at meanwhile_pod or on Twitter at meanwhile_pod, or wait for our next call-in show. We'd love to talk to you about that as well. Next story.
Big news.
Yeah. So if you were listening to the show a couple episodes back, we talked about Project Luminous, which was this kind of undercover new narrative project that was upcoming from Lucasfilm. And it's more or less all the Lucasfilm kind of story properties coming together. There's, all other media properties being combined into one single narrative to kind of tell this story. And we're kind of already starting to see rumblings about this in the comic books of the time of the High Republic, which is like 200 years before episode 1. So, 200 years before the prequels. And it's a time in the galaxy where it's just peace and prosperity and everything's fantastic. And there's still Jedi, but apparently the Sith have been gone for quite a while. That's what I read.
There doesn't seem to be any mention of this.
Or maybe
Sith.
they're like on the other side of the galaxy fighting each other because the Sith War.
Or
they haven't reached each other yet.
Consolidating power or like waiting for their opportunity.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty, it's a pretty prosperous time in the galaxy and everybody's kind of happy and, it's high and
they're exploring. they're trying to make new colonies, it looks like.
Yeah.
It seems, and then there's also, one of the threats happens to be the Republic borders.
Yes.
So that's like a new thing. And they said something about like a Wild West kind of feel where like the Jedi kind of patrol the frontiers.
Like the Outer Rim kind of?
Yeah, like kind of like the Outer Rim sort of thing, which is I wonder maybe the Sith is like out there, if there is a Sith or if there's any mention of them.
Maybe.
But there seems to be a new villain as well.
A new threat to the galaxy,
which sounds
I
really awesome. The Nile, which they described as space Vikings.
Yeah.
And the concept art was dope.
That looked really cool.
And that kind of makes sense. There would be like pirates.
Yeah, move out of the way, space pirates. The Vikings are here now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was a quote that they said, the one guy said there was a quote that they have where it says, you can't, where the Nile would say, you can't take it with you, but we can take it from you. And I was like, damn, that's badass.
That's pretty.
I feel like Chris would like that.
That's some pretty piratous, Vikingish shit for sure. I don't think Vikingish is a word, but I think piratous is.
And the concept art for it looks really cool.
But what I really want to talk about is like, so they went to Skywalker Ranch.
Yep.
They were there. And you kind of see this in the promo clip when you're watching. To be a fly on the wall on that, like I would just volunteer to be like, do you need me to be a waitress? Do you need me to
do you
like
want some water?
Yeah, like just to sit there and see these like really creative minds all working together to create this whole story. Oh, I just think that would have been like the best job ever. Like that's crazy that's what they were paid to do and have done.
And I think in a way they did listen to fans because fans were like, tell us a new story, and that's kind of what they're doing.
Not only that, but do something with your creative group where you guys are actually all going to sit in a room and come up with like something cohesive.
Yeah. An actual arc instead of just throwing people to a job.
I feel this is a major course correction by Lucasfilm. I don't know if anybody else sees that, but that's what I see.
Oh yeah,
it's smart.
And to like spread it across like different media and books and comics. Like I haven't read an actual like fiction novel in like 10 years.
I have.
And
I love Star Wars fiction.
This is gonna get me right back in it.
And I saw a comparison to the MCU as well. So this kind of sets up a thing for interconnected storytelling in their cinematic universe.
Well, they're brothers and sisters now. Marvel and Star Wars are kind of brothers and sisters. So I'm
damn. I better not see Captain America sneaking into Star Wars. I'm sorry, but I better not.
I don't.
I don't want to see a Marvel. Yeah, I really don't want to see Marvel characters cross over.
No, I don't. I
hope they keep it
see
separate.
them take
that
the kind of style they're taking with the MCU,
Yeah.
like using other like new directors or just genre flipping.
Yeah,
the space opera, like a film noir that's set in space or something like cool like that.
That's the thing. What they want to do is that they're saying they're going to be targeting adults, teens, and kids. So it's going to be kind of across the spectrum as well in terms of targeting. Sorry if you heard that sound. I hit my mic. I'm so excited about this. But I also like the idea of this. Like they're really, the idea of them, all these like really amazing storytellers from all different backgrounds sitting in a room together to talk about Star Wars and what they can create out of this, like this prosperous time of the High Republic.
Yep.
I just am really excited to see what stories will come out of that.
The concept art for the Jedis looks amazing.
Oh, so good.
Really exciting. There's like, alien Jedis. Shit, we had a Wookie Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
And the last time I got to see a Wookie Jedi was Youngling Gunji in Clone Wars. And
it's a good episode.
And I saw an article where some guy was referring to that, and he's like, and we all know what happened to the younglings. I was like, not Gunji, man. Gunji got out of there. There's like, he didn't. No, Gunji lived.
Aww.
Gunji lived.
Yeah.
Because like, come on, man, you can't. You can
Anyway,
strike down a little.
I don't know. It falls.
You can strike
I don't
down a
know.
little Wookiee child. Like, come on.
legit,
It's in the timeline.
Anakin
Yeah,
was
I
real
know.
quick to
I
kill
know,
those
I know,
guys.
I
That
What
know.
if
was
it's
real
the new
weird.
season of Clone Wars?
I know.
Shows the younglings.
And
die.
Gunji comes
Oh
back.
my gosh,
Terrible.
I could never.
I would love to see Gunji come back, or all those younglings, the ones that were in that episode, they survived. That would be the dopest fucking thing ever.
Wow.
But it would be a little bit
Far-fetched.
disbelievable.
Yeah.
In terms of High Republic, though, the one
Yeah.
thing they mentioned is that the story, when it does start off, and I guess there is this cohesive starting point, which is it starts with the Great Disaster, which is like a series of events that will spin the galaxy into a dangerous new direction. I love lore. Like,
Yeah.
I love
Well, they need
freaking
conflict,
Star Wars
right?
lore.
Like,
Yeah.
Can't just be like, oh, everything's great.
And so I think this is going to be
Everything's
the start of the demise because
Yeah.
there's so what they mentioned, there was like another quote that they had, which was Obi-Wan Kenobi from the original 4, 5, and 6 saying, like, for 1,000 years, like the Jedi like governed, like it was like peace and prosperous
They
or
kept
whatever.
the peace.
They kept the peace, right? And so the fact that they're doing 200 years, I mean, that sort of seems like the fall of a civilization
Yep.
of sorts as well. I don't know, this is me spitballing, but I think we might be seeing that. I don't know. I would be
The beginning of
interested in
the hypocrisy in the Jedi Order.
Yeah, I
yeah,
think
possibly.
Yeah, maybe.
And
maybe.
I think if the Sith are in this, they're going to come at the very end.
Yeah.
They're going to threaten.
Or
Yeah.
what if they
the
come
order.
from the actual High Republicans themselves?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
I would rather
yeah,
see.
that would make sense.
I would see. I would love to see a Jedi break bad. That would be cool. Like I would like, not that we haven't seen that before,
Yeah.
obviously.
Well, like, yeah, they've just made
But-
it in the video games.
But if it's motivated
Mhm.
by something different, like if it's motivated, if it's motivated by some sort of socio-political perspective on the High Republic, that would be cool as fuck. That was kind of done in Clone Wars a little bit,
Mhm.
but not too much.
Yeah, I'm sure not everybody's
it'd be
going to
pretty
agree with this kind of
Yeah.
order. Some people are going to rebel
Yeah.
against it.
Yeah,
so.
no, that's always what happens. Like nobody's ever completely
that's
It's
happy. with
basically
whatever,
communism
right?
in a sense, isn't it? They would be the communists of the galaxy at this point.
Depending
but-
on
depending on how they do it.
depending
but
on how
could
they
be,
do it,
Yeah.
like if it's if it's a democratically run government, then no, it won't be communist. But we'll see what happens,
It might
right?
be. Yeah.
But anyways, I think this calls for its own episode.
For sure.
I really do.
yeah,
I would love
more
to hear.
research for this.
Yeah, there's definitely more people I want to get into
Little
this
thing.
room to share their thoughts and their insights. But I do want to shout out the authors that are going to be doing this because some of them are amazingly talented. I'm familiar with some of them. I'm not familiar with all of them, but we've got Charles Soule, who's written for both Marvel and Star Wars. We've got Claudia Gray, who wrote Into the Stars, which is like one of the best Star Wars novels ever. It's basically a chronological timeline of all the events of Star Wars through the eyes of two people who fall in love with each other.
Oh, I have
One
not
starts
read
with the
that.
Empire, one starts with the Republic, and it's basically like Romeo and Juliet.
Oh,
but
I'm
it's
sold.
fucking
Sold.
phenomenal, dude. It's so good. It's so good. I think it's called Into the Stars. It's something Stars. I can't remember, but it's fucking fantastic book. It's so good. And Star Wars fans, don't come and try and shred my balls because I forgot the title. But and there's Justina Ireland, Daniel Jose Older, which I've never read any of his stuff, and Cavan Scott. So I'm really excited to not only read this new stuff from the other authors, but I really love seeing in the video Charles Soule was kind of like up on the whiteboard, kind of like conducting things. And I love his run on Daredevil. I love his run on Darth Vader. I love everything this guy's ever written. So I have very, very high hopes for this. But we're going to dive into this in a bigger episode because we think it kind of justifies it. And it's exciting. It's
For sure,
new
yeah.
Star Wars storytelling.
New lightsaber colors.
I think you
Yes.
might have noticed I was very hesitant about all this because I was like, I just feel like they're oversaturating a market.
Yeah.
But I'm really hopeful about the direction they're going.
It's a
with
course
this.
correction. It really is. Like
You said,
yeah.
Matt, the different color lights. I saw that
Oof.
pink one too.
The
That's
pink
fun.
one.
Yeah. And
It's hot.
they're gonna have to though, like the hardcore The hardcore fans would be like, "What's the meaning behind pink lightsaber?"
Yeah.
Like it'll for sure will go in that direction. But
somebody's gonna be mad about it. It's gonna happen because,
dude,
yeah,
you will never please every fan.
Yeah.
Like
No.
the sooner people just acknowledge
the people
that,
who
the better.
like the whole like rebels versus an empire thing are gonna be like, I don't like this.
well, like I said, we don't know what kind. We don't know
sorry.
what kind of government this is gonna be. There's potential for there to be tension.
I'm
so.
sorry, but if the only Star Wars story that you want is still the rebels and the empire,
That's what a lot of people want,
like
and that's the only thing they want.
expand your mind, dude. Like
yeah, I feel the same way.
it's, I didn't bring this up during our Dan Didio conversation, but like there are DC fans that are so adamant and so passionate and just so militant about DC that I could see them being like, just kill it. Like if you're gonna sell it to Marvel, just kill
Just
the
let it
comic
die,
books.
man.
I want it to die. I want it to die. I want it to die like an honorable death.
And
I don't want Marvel to taint it with its fucking Marvelness. Like I and fans in Star Wars like that exist too, sadly. But thank God there's a middle ground, and I see a room full.
Well, I
of
was
middle
reading the
ground,
other
which
day,
is good.
people are
So-
like, we like George Lucas's movies now, the prequels, because we don't like the new ones.
I know people love. Yeah,
People are so wishy-washy.
they are wishy-washy.
I'm a little bit.
I love George Lucas.
kinda-
I love George Lucas, except for the dialogue in the prequels. Well, some of the dialogue, the romantic dialogue. Sorry, George, you can't.
It's because
I hope you've never
Frank
wrote
really
it.
likes
I like
sand.
that.
Frank really likes
I love
sand,
sand.
and he was not a
Yeah.
fan of that line.
I love sand, and I also love describing love in very weird ways, especially before I'm gonna die.
Oh, I
So-
love that scene.
It's the worst, dude. It's the worst. Like, I don't know whether it was nerves that made them sound so stupid, but it just sounded stupid. It didn't sound elegant. It didn't sound romantic. It's just
yeah.
like,
I feel like with those movies, he never got like a take he wanted.
probably.
They didn't have chemistry. Maybe it was the age difference.
Well, I heard Natalie Portman was kind of hard to work with because she kind of lost her passion. Like, people said that they could see that she lost her passion for it.
Yo, she was
Oh.
one of the best things about that movie
yeah,
for
she
me.
was.
Karina
Yeah.
That's
Mandala,
what
though.
I liked her too. Yeah,
Yeah, well,
and I liked her storyline too. Like,
yeah,
the
her
whole-
storyline's gangster.
Yeah.
I like it too. The whole, like, again, it's the Christ story, right? But
Yeah.
it's, without the manger and without the other
Yeah.
stuff. But is Obi-Wan the wise man? I guess he is the wise
Yeah,
man.
I guess I don't know why
But they
that's-
actually had
Cool.
sex.
They did.
Damn.
They did. They
so,
did.
So it's maybe more of a Mary Magdalene story.
Yeah. But Anakin's story. Sorry, I mean Anakin's stories is the immaculate
Right, okay.
immaculate conception. Okay, cool. So moving on, more Star Wars news.
Ooh.
Fallen Order 2 is reportedly in development already.
Oh, that's
Nice.
awesome!
Way.
I'm definitely
I'm
picking up
so
the
stoked.
first one this weekend. 'Cause it's
You haven't
20
played
bucks
it
off.
yet?
It's 20 bucks off. No, I've played it a little bit with
Fucking
my brother.
Yeah, I
fantastic.
haven't beat it yet, so don't.
Yeah.
we're
No,
not-
I'm not even close.
Yeah.
I'm not even close. Like I just got a new PlayStation system because my hard drive was running out, and I moved all my shit over onto the new one. And once I had room, I've had Red Dead Redemption 2 in its package for over a year, literally over a year.
It happened.
So once I got hard drive space, I was like, Red Dead Redemption, let's do
Yeah.
this shit.
But I think what we're seeing though with like Star Wars with this game, I think a
Yeah.
lot of people were really wary because of their experience with Battlefront, and I think this was like a real course correction.
Yes.
I hated
on
Battlefront.
that
Yes.
front.
Like campaign wise, like the whole multiplayer thing, yeah, that's fine.
I'm-
And the pew pew, like
Yeah,
starfighting.
I'm a big like story person and
Me
per
too.
se.
Me too.
Like especially like my games I like to play is like I love RPGs. Like I will forever love RPGs. Final Fantasy was like the first type of gaming I really did. So like the fact that we're following a character, we're following a storyline, and in a way that I feel like in a really interesting timeline as well. Yeah, no, I'm excited that
Good.
that it's
Yeah,
Me too.
gonna
The
be-
first one's so good. There was bugs in it for time, and people still loved it. Like that's the reason why I haven't bought it yet. Because like
There's
the first
bugs in
few-
it?
Yeah, there
Oh,
was
bugs.
Like,
Oh, right.
There was
right.
like sometimes like people
Right.
would like lose their progress all
Yeah.
of a sudden.
Oh no!
So like I was just like, I'm gonna wait.
Yeah.
So I think this weekend's probably the perfect time.
Well, we've already seen the High Republic influence on the game because you can change your lightsaber color to
Yeah.
yellow or
oh,
orange.
and they add the orange.
Is
They
it
have
yellow
that.
or orange?
You
Like,
do both.
and then if
It-
you
no,
have
there's
PlayStation
yellow and
controller,
orange.
the
why
light
would you have
changes.
two? Like, why? Like,
They're so
why?
similar. Yeah.
Yeah. Why would
well,
you do that?
yellow was at the end of Rise of Skywalker.
Yes, again,
so
they're definitely hinting at this High
Yeah.
Republic shit and everything that they're doing. What I love though, this shows that Lucasfilm is becoming more sensitive to what the fans are saying. And so is EA apparently.
Finally.
And EA's
Microtransactions.
kind of always been a
exactly.
company. EA's kind of always been a company that's like, I don't give a fuck about our fans.
Well, they had to gain their trust back after
Yeah.
like their fuck up
Yeah.
with the microtransactions and everything
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
I
So
just get killed by Vaders all the time when I was playing. I hated it.
So I'm glad they're headed in this direction. The story in Fallen Order so far has been really good. I haven't finished it yet. I'm sure there's lots of people that have. I love the lightsaber combat system. It's so dope. I just beat one of the sisters, one of the Inquisitors. It's a really interesting story, and the cast is awesome. The script is awesome, and I can't wait to see where they take this story. And again, we see more of these cohesive narrative story threads happening within multimedia kind of amalgamations,
Mhm.
because they did a Fallen Order comic book as well. So it's a
Yep.
Fallen
Yeah,
Order
I
comic
have
book and a
it.
Fallen
I
Order
haven't- I
game.
haven't read it yet.
So this, to me, this is what Lucasfilm and Star Wars needs to be, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, I'm loving Rise of Kylo Ren right now too. Like
I need to read that.
it's so
I need
good.
to read
it makes
that.
him so much cooler. But
I definitely need to read that. I want to get into
one
that
more
character's
month, I
head.
think the last issues next month.
Sweet. Yeah, I really want to get into that character's head before we hit the turn for him. But when we were watching that video for the announcement of Project Luminous,
Mhm.
there was that guy that was saying one of the things that we really like to do is tell these stories through all of our mediums and blah 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 blah. And I was like, bullshit, dude. You haven't done that yet. Like, maybe you're doing it through your books, maybe you're doing it through your comic books,
well, I think that's where
but you're not doing it through your most important properties. And
I think
that
that's where the
is a
MCU
shame.
comparison came. I think they're
Yeah.
going to start pulling from like all the new media that
Yeah.
they're going to create. I hope they pull from video games too, because it sounds like everyone's really excited about.
Yeah, that's
these
the thing.
games.
I
Oh
would
man,
love
High
to see
Everybody
this
likes
tie
the
in.
video
character,
game would be
yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah,
That
yeah, I think that would be
would
dope.
Or at least make a
I think that'd
show
be really
based
cool.
on it. They could easily adapt that to TV.
Yeah, I think Kevin Feige and the Russos went into Lucasfilm. They started slapping people across the face, and they're just like, "What the fuck, man? Look at all this great source material."
Just line them up.
Yeah.
They probably like, you know what? I would have done it. Like, do you guys know Glengarry Glen Ross? No? Okay, fuck it. Forget it. It would have been a good reference if you guys saw the
It
movie.
vaguely rings a bell. I can't place
By
it,
the way,
though.
best movie ever. But if I was Feige and Russo, I would have basically set a board meeting like 3 p.m. and I would have had everybody kind of set up all the books on the boardroom table and the comic books and make stacks and just be like, guys, you know what this is? Source material.
See, this is why Frank shouldn't be in charge.
Yeah.
These people are just very-
I do not want
Yeah.
to do that on Friday at 3 p.m. I'd be like
"Oh, damn,
quitting
this
my
fucker in here
job.
again doing this.
Not on Friday.
I'm leaving
No,
the next
but
day.
like
I get what you mean.
it
I
wouldn't
get
be
where you're
like a
coming
nod
from.
to them to be like, read all this shit. I'd just be
Yeah.
like, listen, okay, guys, why are we struggling
Get a
to
feel.
tell these fucking
Yeah.
stories?
But I think they're listening, and then
right?
this is where they're lucky that they have forgiving fans.
Yeah.
Because we are forgiving fans.
Yeah.
Like, I will like go in.
They've been
and see a
abandoned
movie.
by a lot of folks, though.
They have been, like, for
Yeah.
example, Spider-Man. Like, I went back and watched each freaking one of your reboots of that. You know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the abandonment's not permanent. A lot of people are still gonna come back.
I'm
and, like,
always
check
changing my
something
mind.
out.
I
I
go
don't know.
from like, like when they first came with the Amazing Spider-Man, I was like, I don't really like the
I
Sam
liked it.
Raimi's.
I
But
did
like now,
Look-
Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2 is like one of my favorite
Or
of
like
all
a
time.
lot of
good
people
movie.
also hated like the prequels, and then people went back to like relove the prequels later.
never-
I've always
So-
loved the prequels.
I've
I
never
like the
hated
prequels.
them because also
I like
they
the
came out
prequels.
when I was like a little kid as well. So when I was watching them as a little
Yeah.
kid, like you were just like, damn, like you know what I mean. And I do see obviously the faults in them.
Yeah.
I still like
Oh, yeah.
them.
Yeah.
But-
No,
They gave us
Anyway.
something new.
I
Yeah.
like,
The green screen.
again, the one thing I'll say about the prequels, the best thing to watch is just Palpatine. Just watch him pull those strings. Just Machiavelli, just like, you do this, you do this. I didn't tell you to do this, but I incepted you to do this. And I incepted you to do this, and I incepted you to do this.
I just you just wish
It's
you had that.
fucking awesome. I kind of no.
Yeah, he
Oh,
kind of
okay.
does. You kind of
Okay.
do.
Anyway, so
Don't
yeah,
tell them.
There's a,
Don't tell them. That's my superpower in the business world. Okay. Jesus
Okay.
Christ.
You're gonna incent people to listen to the podcast.
I'm going to.
Yeah,
What is it called? AMSR.
ASMR.
Please listen to our podcast.
That's so freaky. But yeah, lots coming out of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Lots to talk about.
Yep. Lots to talk about. So, moving on.
Mm-hmm.
This is really cool. She-Hulk casting details have been revealed. It looks like Bruce Banner is going to be involved in the story because Jennifer Walters story is directly tied
Yeah.
to Bruce Banner because she gets a blood transfusion
She's
from
a
him.
cousin.
Yes.
And they're saying Ruffalo might be in it.
Yes.
I think he'll probably be in it in like the beginning part.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
They
think he'll
need
be in
to. He needs more.
Also, I think I've mentioned this before. We talked about this. I'd be so pissed. I'd be like, just let me fucking die. Like, I have so many fucking cousins. Like, you have to be the one to give me blood out of all the cousins that exist in the world.
Come on, you would embrace it. You'd be like,
No.
shit, man. Like,
no,
I'll
I
never
don't,
be.
I don't want to be a
would
green
love it.
muscular
I don't want-
chick.
I'll
she
never-
gets to change into it.
I'll never be
That's-
late for anything
It's
ever
not cute
again.
at all.
It's awesome. She takes advantage of it.
Yeah.
She does. She does.
Um,
and there's definitely a market of guys that are into that shit. That's for sure.
So
Like,
this will actually make me want to watch it more. I
Yeah.
was like not that interested in this property, but if Bruce Banner's in it,
But
I've
then,
got
yeah,
I've got a
watch it.
further announcement that's going to make you want to watch it even more.
Yeah, what?
Alison Brie is being eyed
Oh, really?
to
Oh,
play
okay.
Jennifer Walters.
Yeah, that will
Really?
make me
I
want
like
to watch
That's
it.
the rumor.
I like her
That's
a
the
lot.
Like,
rumor.
Yeah,
I have the craziest
That's the
crush on
rumor.
her.
she's the greatest.
She's
yeah.
very
I think
cute.
I
She's
think that
cute.
she would
She's
be
cute.
great as Jennifer Walters. Like she's funny. I think that they need
And
to have a
she has
little bit
that
of humor in this.
sassiness, kind
She's
of
funny.
like.
Also, she has that training too.
Yeah,
from
Glow.
Glow.
Yeah, she does.
Um,
She did amazing in Glow.
She's great
for
in
being
Glow.
this,
I
like,
just hope they kind of
cutesy-
like don't diverge her like character a bit because she kind of like sleeps around and she just like is proud of it, and I enjoy
I,
that.
she can
She-Hulk?
play the
Yeah.
bad girl.
Perfect cast then. She's
No,
fine.
have you watched Glow? 'Cause
Yeah.
in
Yeah, I
Glow,
watched
she,
Glow.
yeah,
She
she
fucks.
can-
She's
yeah,
fucked
she's
lots of
like-
guys in Glow. She's fucked lots of guys in Glow.
She's not
Mad
like
Men-
innocent in that one.
Mad Men,
Yeah.
she fucks. Glow, she fucks. Movies, she fucks. Like she's
She's
fucked,
great.
She's
It's
fucked
good.
a lot.
It's good to hear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so that's something to look forward to.
What?
No, I'm joking. But I just, yeah, that'll be. I'll definitely give it a watch.
Yeah.
But-
Definitely.
But man, I'd just be so mad if he was my cousin. I'd be like, don't talk to me. Do not come to family reunions. I do not want to see you. Like,
Some new news about Mandalorian season 2. This is coming directly from Giancarlo Esposito, who played Moff Gideon, and it was specifically talking about the darksaber. And apparently, there's gonna be a lightsaber battle in
So-
season 2 of
he
Mandalorian.
said it's like epic.
So
Yes.
it's gonna be like. Do you think it's gonna be Din fighting him? Like he finds one?
No, you
no.
cannot.
Like you're gonna-
No, if they
I
try and
think-
turn him into a Jedi, I'm abandoning.
Well, not
the
even a
show
Jedi.
right away.
People have lightsabers throughout the galaxy.
I
and
Yeah.
are
honestly-
Jedi.
so
They
here's the
just
thing.
find
That's
some
true.
or buy some.
That's true.
This first season, we got introduced to what was left of the Empire.
Yeah.
I think second season, we're gonna see. I think we're gonna maybe see the Jedi or whatever is of that, because this is a time period in which there's sort of a resurgence.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, because like Mandalorian's using a lightsaber. I don't know.
I don't know.
Because like even in the comics right now, I think Luke's gonna find like a new lightsaber in between his green and losing the blue one.
I saw
So
him.
there's,
I
like,
saw an
there's a
image with
yellow
him with
one.
a yellow
Yeah.
lightsaber.
So like
What
I
the
think
fuck?
like
Because
they
they
just
don't
go to-
want people to
they
read
go to
into the
temples,
color.
and I guess they find stuff like
They
this.
don't
You
want
never
people to
know.
read into the color of the lightsabers, so they're just like scattering them around.
I don't know about
Yeah.
that, but
It's very confusing.
let's talk about potential opponents for Moff Gideon to fight. Okay, so you're
Mhm.
saying it could be Din Djarin.
Oh no, I'm saying
would
Baby
just-
Yoda.
You're saying
Baby
Baby
Yoda.
Yoda?
It's gonna
Actually,
Baby
that'd be
Yoda's gonna have a
interesting.
lightsaber?
be legit.
I don't
It's
know.
gonna be crazy.
I
Well-
don't know,
so
'cause
cute.
the handle is big enough for just Yoda himself. Like how's he?
It makes
he's gonna have to
sense.
hold
These two hands.
it.
It makes
And it's
sense
gonna
for Baby
sometimes
Yoda. He
fall
is
out.
a Force user already.
Yeah, he's a
so-
Force user, but it doesn't mean he can use the lightsaber.
You
Okay,
can levitate it.
they would seriously have to fucking time jump to justify
He's
a
gonna
lightsaber
like
fight with
javelin
Baby
throw
Yoda.
it at someone
Oh my god.
with his mind.
Okay, so season 2 is going to see Din taking Baby Yoda to try and find his people.
Yeah.
So maybe as Gideon is chasing them, they come across a remnant Jedi.
Yeah.
makes
I think
sense.
that's
Right?
probably
That's-
the
that's
best.
what I think.
I think that's
likely
most
case.
likely. I think probably, if anything, it'll be Caleb Doom, who's also known as Kanan Jarrus.
Oh yeah,
Um,
Kane.
so that's probably the most likely, but there
Or
are
Ezra.
other Jedi
Is
that were
Ezra's-
hiding out throughout
Ezra's-
the galaxy.
Is that right?
Ezra disappeared right before Return of the Jedi. Right before the original
Hope.
trilogy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the original trilogy.
Do you think I wonder if they'll just do someone completely new.
Maybe
Might as well.
it could be
I'd find-
Ahsoka.
I mean, I
That
know that's
would
what I was
be
thinking.
Everybody loves her.
I was
orgasmic.
thinking
so
that, but I
It
don't think
could
they're
be
going to
Ahsoka.
introduce her in
Oh
this
my
way.
God,
I
It'd
don't
be
like
amazing.
if they introduce her through this
It's wasting
particular
it.
If
show.
they
You're
if they
right.
bring her into the Mandalorian,
But
people will
Dave
watch it.
Filoni owns Ahsoka too,
That's
and this
true.
is his show.
Yeah, and people
So-
love her. I mean, she is a great character.
It will
but-
definitely increase the ratings of the show.
Yeah.
if-
You know, Sabine Wren, the person she's hunting for Ezra with, she's a Mandalorian too. I don't know. Maybe they do live action Sabine. Maybe they do live action Ahsoka. I don't know.
Both
but
would be awesome.
I just
love
want to see a
both those
lightsaber fight
characters
in
so
this show
much.
because it'll add some more dimension.
Yeah.
And it'll take the legend of the Jedi a little bit farther as far as what the armor is already kind of created within the narrative of the show, which I think is cool. So yeah, I think this could be exciting, an exciting
Yeah.
development
Yeah.
for the
But
Mandalorian.
let's be honest, half the time it doesn't feel like Star Wars if there isn't a lightsaber battle.
That's true.
I totally agree with that.
I have like legit some fans that saw Rogue One were like, there was no lightsaber in this. Why did I go see
I
it?
know.
I fully enjoyed Rogue One. It's like one of my favorite Star
Yeah.
Wars.
Rogue
It's
One
a
was
great
good.
one.
Yeah.
Rogue One was
But
good.
it's always nice to see those guys, and I'll love to see how they do end up tying it
Yep.
in. I wonder if he's going to get in trouble for saying that. He said things that he maybe shouldn't have said, but
Maybe.
but he probably won't because
It all
he is who he
works.
is.
If Tom Holland
some-
and Mark Ruffalo can get away with almost spoiling the entire movie.
Everyone says like Mark Ruffalo is like on thin ice. Like,
Yeah,
Well, he went into a premiere with his phone.
Yeah, I remember
Live
that.
streaming.
broadcasting.
Oh.
Thor.
Live broadcasting.
Oh, that's not
But they're
okay.
even
Why would
saying
you
it
think
now.
that's okay?
He forgot that he didn't turn it off properly
Oh, come
because he's an
on.
old man.
Yeah.
Then someone hacked his phone.
Yeah. He was
Yeah.
like, hey, I'm at the Thor premiere. This is awesome. I'm having a great time.
And then he just put it in his
Whoop.
pocket.
Just put his phone in his pocket, goes into the premiere.
It's a very dad
I feel
move.
like
And then,
Mark Ruffalo, you aren't doing any social media stuff
Yeah, that's pretty
anymore.
bad.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad.
but it was funny because like he thought he was in trouble. He's like, oh shit. Because some lady came down
And
into
told him,
the
like-
into the crowd, like, your phone's on, your phone's on. What do you mean my phone's on? My phone's not on. He's like, you're live broadcasting the movie. He's like, oh shit. So he turns it off. And then he's like, oh fuck, Kevin Feige's gonna kill me. I'm gonna get
Just the
fired. My
sound,
life is
though,
over.
right?
yeah, but it's like a
Yeah.
it's just a
Yeah.
sound. But
Yeah.
even then,
But Kevin Feige calls him afterwards. He goes, Mark, that was fucking genius, man. We've never got such better press. He's like, this is amazing. Like your whole story about broadcasting during the movie. He's like, everybody's laughing their ass off at that. This is perfect. This is great press. Like,
Yeah.
this is awesome. So
Aw.
yeah.
That's
but
a
yeah.
good boss. That's a good boss too. Just
Yeah,
like
it is.
spin it into marketing.
Yeah.
Um,
No, for sure. Okay, guys, enough said. I think we're going to wrap it for tonight.
Mhm.
This has been another edition of the Nerdly News, and we appreciate you guys joining us. If you haven't subscribed to the show, please subscribe to the show. If you haven't given us a rating, please give us a rating, whether it be Stitcher, whether it be Apple Podcasts. Just share your honest opinion. We'd love to hear what your thoughts are about the show and suggestions to improve it, et cetera, et cetera. Hit
We
us
won't
up on
yell at you.
Instagram. We won't yell at you.
no.
If we may call you out in a further show, but yeah,
we
we'll
don't
see.
yell. We're nice.
But yeah, comments you can be sent to us on Instagram at @Meanwhile_pod or on Twitter, and keep an eye out for upcoming episodes. We're gonna do the Luminous episode for sure. We've got our Marvel versus DC as far as the Phase 4 film slate against DC's upcoming film slate. We've got a Witcher show coming up. We've got an anime show coming up. We've got a Harry Potter show coming up.
Yeah.
We got everything.
Lots of cool shit coming up. So make sure you tune in. Make sure you subscribe. I'm Frank McGuire.
What's up, Amir?
Christina Dudumas.
I'm Matt Fowler.
Okay.
All right, bye, guys.
Bye.